Dwayne Johnson and the Marvel Cinematic Universe seem like a natural fit for each other, and yet The Rock has yet to appear in an MCU movie, so what gives? Although it may seem strange that the hottest star in Hollywood hasn't starred in a Marvel movie, there are a few reasons that could explain why. In 2014, it was announced that Dwayne Johnson would be joining the DCEU, portraying the villainous Black Adam in a Shazam movie. Many were surprised that The Rock was playing a bad guy rather than a superhero, with the assumption being that the larger-than-life actor would prefer to be the star of his own DCEU film. Those predictions ultimately proved correct. If you've seen Shazam, which was released in April 2019, then you know Johnson isn't in it. That's because after meeting with DC brass in 2017 to discuss his role, it was announced that Black Adam was getting his own solo movie. The film has no release date yet, but it's still very much in the works, and it's expected to start filming in 2020. The fact that Johnson will be headlining a DCEU movie greatly reduces his chances of doing the same for Marvel because, well, it's pretty rare for actors to star in films for both franchises. And when they do, it's generally as side characters, moving from one franchise to another in a bigger role. Remember when Shazam Zachary Levi played Fandral in 2 out of 3 Thor films? We've yet to see a lead actor switch teams, but here's hoping Johnson might be the first. The Rock likes to refer to himself as the hardest worker in the room, and it's not just a catchphrase. The guy works all the time. Take a look at his Instagram feed, which he updates constantly, and you'll see he's always either shooting a movie or doing press for a movie. The man just moves from one project to the next non-stop. In 2018, he starred in 2 blockbusters with Rampage and Skyscraper. In 2019, he headlined Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs & Shaw and Jumanji: The Next Level, while also appearing in Fighting With My Family, whose production he spearheaded.
What are your names again?
My name.
It doesn't matter what your names are! You walk around here interrupting The Rock, you like you haven't seen the sun in 20 years? You like you just stepped out of Oliver Twist?
Next year, Johnson's got Disney's Jungle Cruise and action comedy Red Notice, co-starring his DCEU stablemate Gal Gadot. He also stars on HBO's Ballers, hosts a reality competition he created called the Titan Games on NBC, and has quite a few films in various stages of production. Plus, he's active as a producer on multiple movies, he's working on releasing a tequila, and he's helping design products for his Project Rock collaboration with Under Armour. Plus, he's working out like a beast and raising a family. 2016's People's Sexiest Man Alive is busy with a capital B, and chances are good that he simply hasn't had the time to work a Marvel movie into his crazy schedule yet. Some actors just look tailor-made for their roles. Has there ever been a more James Bond-looking James Bond than Pierce Brosnan? Can you think of a more appropriate man to play the Mountain on Game of Thrones than actual world's strongest man, Thor Bjornsson? And when it comes to superheroes, who's more qualified to play one than real-life superhuman Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? The Rock has a physique that looks like it was drawn by Rob Liefeld, so it seems like a no-brainer that he should find himself a spot in the MCU. The only problem is, Marvel prefers to go with the unexpected when it comes to their superhero casting. When the studio needed to cast Star-Lord, the suave leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy, they didn't go out and get Chris Pine or James Marsden. They went with Chris Pratt, who at the time was best known as a somewhat schlubby sitcom actor. They also went with funny man Paul Rudd for Ant-Man, relative unknowns Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston for Thor and Loki respectively, and they cast the supposedly washed-up, over-the-hill, and problematic Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, the guy who ended up leading the entire franchise. And although Marvel sometimes does what's expected, the studio may think that casting The Rock as a superhero is a little too on the nose for their brand. As his level of stardom has grown over the last handful of years, so has The Rock's level of influence in Hollywood. 7 Bucks Productions, the studio Johnson founded with his ex-wife Dani Garcia in 2012, has produced every single movie the actor has starred in since 2017's Baywatch. Not only that, but Johnson wields a considerable amount of power over those films. He's very cautious about maintaining his image, and he's known to be pretty inflexible when it comes to certain aspects of his films. For example, he forced a change to the ending of Rampage so the gorilla wouldn't die at the end. Plus, he broke away from his role in the Fast and Furious franchise to lead his own spin-off, Hobbs & Shaw.
1, 2, 3!
No one tells me what to do.
Johnson has shown that he likes to be in control of his films, and if there's one studio that's not known for giving up control, it's Marvel. With the exception of the Spider-Man movies, which are produced in coordination with Sony Pictures since they own the film rights to the character, Marvel Studios doesn't share production credit with any other studio. The studio's president, Kevin Feige, has the final say on everything in the MCU, and Johnson may not be willing to cede the control he's become accustomed to just for a spot in a Marvel movie. In spite of all the factors working against The Rock joining the MCU, it still seems like there may be something going on between them that we just don't know about yet. At the 2019 MTV Movie Awards, Avengers Endgame director Anthony Russo joked that Johnson should join the MCU as himself. But the most compelling piece of evidence comes in the form of a throwaway line Johnson included in a congratulatory message he shared to Instagram to celebrate Endgame's box office success. The Rock gushes about Marvel in his 3-minute video, showing nothing but love for the studio and name-dropping a lot of people integral to its success, including Nebula actress and his quote Jumanji partner in crime, Karen Gillan. But the biggest name drop had to be Kevin Feige, the head honcho at Marvel Studios.
Congrats, and I know our assistants have been trying to get us together for dinner for months now. We're both super busy boys, and I look forward to our schedule linking up.
Can you smell what The Rock is cooking there? If we had to guess what these two busy boys would talk about over dinner, first on the agenda would have to be the prospect of Johnson joining Team Marvel. Just because The Rock hasn't appeared in the MCU yet doesn't mean he's not going to eventually. After all, someone's going to have to play the Thing when Fantastic Four inevitably gets rebooted. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.